We're back with another lesson on Module 2, Lesson 7. We're continuing to practice using those area models for multiplication to help us find those partial products to the multi-digit multiplication. So more practice on multiplying big numbers. So let's get started. Make sure you're open to Lesson 7 in your module book. So just like before, we are going to be drawing an area model, and we're going to be solving also using standard algorithm. So box those things in. That tells us what we need to do. We also need to use arrows to match the partial products from our model to the standard algorithm. So a couple things to notice is when we do standard algorithm, we can determine how many partial products we're going to have by looking at the bottom number. So the bottom number has 3 digits, a 3, a 5, and a 2. They're all in different place values, so that means if there's 3 digits, there's going to be 3 partial products before we find the final product at the end. So just kind of give you a heads up. We're going to have 3 partial products. So our model is going to be fairly big today. All right, so for 1A, I went ahead and did my model, a rectangular model. Now I'm going to break up 481. I'm going to do 400, and I'm going to do 80, and I'm going to do 1. I'm going to draw my lines to separate the place values. And now I'm going to go ahead and do 352. I'm going to do the ones first. There's 2 ones. And then there's 5 tens, which represents 50. And then there's 3 hundreds, which represents 300. Now we're going to go ahead and partition that off. And so I have, you can see that I'm going to get 3, 6, 9 numbers in here. And then this right here, when we add these 3 numbers, is going to be the first partial product. When we add these numbers together, they're going to be the second partial product. And then the last one will be the third one. So let's get started. Let's go ahead and do 2 times 4 is 8. And then 2 times 400 is 800. Then you got 2 times 8, that's 16. But 2 times 80, that is 160. And then 2 times 1 is obviously 2. So you're going to have to add 800, 160, and 2 up. And that will give you, if you add them carefully, that will give you 962. So let's hop over to the standard algorithm and practice those steps. We have 2 times 1, that's going to be 2. Then we have 2 times 8, that's going to be 16. So bring down the 6 and then carry the 1 over to the hundreds. And then 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 more is 9. So that 962 matches our first partial product. And now we're ready to go ahead and do the second partial product in the area model. We have 5 times 4, that's going to be 20. And then we have 50 times 400, so we have to add 3 zeros to 20 to get 20,000. Then we're going to do 5 times 8, and that is 40. And 50 times 80 means we have to add 2 zeros to 40 to make it 4,000. And then 50 times 1, you should know that is 50. So if we add up these 3 numbers together, that will be our second partial product, which is going to be 24,050. So 050. So let's go ahead and move over to the standard algorithm. Don't forget to cross off the ones. We're done multiplying by those ones. And don't forget to cross off the number up on top. Also, don't forget to put your 0 placeholder because we're multiplying by that 5, which is in the tens column, and our number needs to be underneath the 6. So we got 5 times 1, that's 5. 5 times 8, that's 40. So bring down your 0 underneath the 9, and then bring your 4 up on top. And now you're going to do 5 times 4, which is 20, and add 4 more to get 24. So you're going to add a 4 and a 2 in front of the 0. And so you can see that partial product matches our area model and the standard algorithm. And now we're down to the third partial product, and we're going to go 300 times 400, so 3 times 4 is 12, and then add your 4 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, to give you 120,000. Next one is 300 times 80, and that is going to be 24. Sorry, 3 times 8 is 24, so 300 times 80 would be 24 and add 3 zeros to give you 24,000. And then 300 times 1 is obviously going to be 300. And so if we carefully add up these three numbers, we should get 120,000 plus 24,000. That would be 144,300. All right. So going back over to our standard algorithm, I'm going to cross off that 5 in the tens column because I'm done multiplying by the 5. And I'm going to cross off that 4 up on top so I don't get confused. And now, since I'm going to be multiplying by this 3, my answer needs to start in the hundreds column, which means I need to add 2 zero placeholders in the partial product. Very similar to what we have over here in the area model, those 2 zeros after the 3. So we go 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 8, that's 24. We're going to carry the 2, bring down the 4. Try to keep everything lined up. If you have anything kind of in the wrong place value, you're going to get mixed up. And when you have to add, you're going to get the wrong answer. So now we're going to do 3 times 4, that's 12, plus 2 more is 14. So there the 4 goes underneath the 2, and the 1 is in front of the 4. So that partial product matches the standard algorithm. And now I'm ready to add. So here's where kids tend to get the wrong answer. They will have the 3 partial products correct, but when they add, they make a silly mistake. So you want to be super careful. So 2 plus 0 is 2. And 6 plus 5, that's 11. So bring down your 1 and carry your 1. Now here's a trick that you might want to start doing is when you have to take the 1 from 11, and we usually bring it up by the 9. Sometimes when we put it up there, all the numbers get squished, and so sometimes we like to actually put the number actually on that line right there, and then we count that when we add up the 9, the 3, and the 1. So it's kind of a good place on this line to use your regrouping placement. So 9 plus 3, that will give you 12, plus 1 more is 13. So you're going to put the 3 right there, and then you're going to carry the 1 on the line. Then you got 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. And then you got 2 plus 4 is 6. And then you have 1 plus nothing is 1. So you come out to be 196,312. So these tend to take some time, especially when we're doing the area model and standard algorithm. We're trying to show you 2 different ways of solving it. But obviously this way can be shorter, but it can be a lot harder to keep track of things lined up and harder to make sure that you aren't making silly mistakes here or there. So we're just going to take our time on this lesson today. All right, so let's go ahead and do 481 times 302. And this one's going to be a little bit special because of that 0 and 302. So like I said, you're looking over here at this number 302, and you see that we have 3 digits. And that will possibly tell you that we're going to have 3 partial products. But I'm going to give you a little hint. This 0 has no value. So if something has no value in the bottom number, we're not going to do it. We're going to skip and go to the next place value that has any value. So let's show you an example, or kind of to show you this example, how have only two partial products. So we're going to have 400, we're going to have 80, and we're going to have 1. I'm going to draw my lines to separate the area model. Now 302. Since there are 2 1s, I'm going to put my 2 right there. I'm going to draw my line across. Now you're looking, we have 0 10s. So we're not going to put a 0 right here. That's kind of like just wasting time putting that 0, because it ends up all these boxes will be zeros, and when you add them up, you'll have these long list of zeros. And so why waste the time? So now we go to the 300s. And so now I'm going to go ahead and write 300. And now we're ready to get started. We have 2 times 4 is 8, and then add 2 zeros for 800. And then 2 times 8 is 16, and then add a 0 for the 80. Then 2 times 1 is 2. Very similar to the one that we did up above. This turns out to be 962. Let's double check that on the standard algorithm. We're going to start with the 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 8 up on top is 16. You're going to regroup the 1, bring down the 6. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. So you can see that we are now matching the area model with our standard algorithm. I'm going to go ahead and cross off this 2. I'm done multiplying by the 1s, and I'm going to again multiply or cross off the number 1 up on top. Okay, and so since we're skipping the 10s, we're immediately going over to the 300s right here, which means my answer is going to need to start underneath the 9, which then tells you if my answer has to start underneath the 9, that means there needs to be 2 zeros as placeholders. The reason why it's not 1, it's because we're not multiplying by the 0 10s, because otherwise that would be a long list of zeros right here, and so we're going to skip that part. So now we're going to go ahead and do 3 times 4, and that's 12, and then add your 4 zeros for 120,000. 3 times 8, that's 24, and then add your 3 zeros. And then 300 times 1 is 300. So that turns out to be 144,300. So let's see if that matches on the standard algorithm. Remember, we're multiplying by this 300s, and my number needs to start underneath the 9. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 8, that's 24. So carry your 2 over, bring down your 4. 3 times 4 is 12, and add those 2 more to get 14. And so there you go. We have our answer. 2 partial products. Let me draw my arrow to show that they match up. And now we can add 2 plus 0 is 2, 6 plus 0 is 6, 9 plus 3 is 12. So I'm going to put my 1 for regrouping over underneath the 4, and then write my 2 right there. And then 4 plus 1, that's 5. Another 4 plus nothing is 4, and that 1 plus nothing is 1. I'm sorry that it's all squeezed together. It's the best I can do on the iPad. So the answer we get is 145,262. Okay. Really quick, we're going to just answer this question and not write it down. Why are there 3 partial products in A and only 2 partial products in B? So here's B. Why do we only have 2 partial products? It's because the 10s in 302 is 0. And so we're not going to waste the time to write all zeros going across to have three partial products. This 0 has no value, so we're going to skip it. So in 2A and 2B, it's the same thing, more practice using area model and standard algorithm. We're going to skip that one. So let's go over to number 3. And we're going to get down to number 3 and solve some problems just only using standard algorithm, because I think we want to start using this method to doing our multiplication. But we do want to do it very carefully, otherwise we're going to make a silly mistake and get the wrong answer. So let's do A. We have 346, and we're going to multiply it by 27. So I went ahead and quickly put the multiples of 7, the first 10, to help us use this 7 when we have to multiply it by the 6, the 4, and the 3. So you can copy this down or you can use it as a reference. So let's go ahead. We're going to do first 7 times 6. That's looking at our multiples. That's going to be 42. So 2's on the bottom, 4 goes up on top. 7 times 4, well, that's going to be 28. So we'll bring down, 7 times 4 is 28, but we got to add the 4 up there to give us 32. And then we're going to go ahead and do 7 times 3, that's 21, and then add the 3, and that's going to give us 24. So we have 2,422. Forgot to mention, since there's 27 as the bottom number, that's going to tell us we're going to only have 2 partial products before we find the final product. So remember, we're going to cross off the 7. We're going to cross off the 3 and the 4 up above where we regrouped. We're going to put a 0 placeholder underneath the 2 because our answer has to be underneath the second 2 in the tens column. So now we're going to multiply 2 times 6. Hopefully you know that's 12. You're going to carry your 1, and then you're going to bring down your 2. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. And then 2 times 3 is 6, so the 6 goes underneath the 2. And so 2 partial products. Now I can add these up. I've got 2 plus 0 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 plus 9 is 13. So I'm going to put my 1 right there and then put my 3 in the answer column. And then 2 plus 6 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. So we have 9,342. So 3B, I went ahead and set the problem up. I'm looking at 297. It has 3 digits. Each digit has, each place value has a value. There's no zeros. That means I'm going to have 3 partial products. So I'm going to multiply by the 7. I'm going to use the 7 multiples over here, but I'm going to quickly write my 9s over here to help us do this problem successfully. So here you go. I have my multiples of 9 ready to go. So I'm going to have 3 partial products before we actually add. So try to keep everything lined up nice and neat so we don't make a silly mistake. So 7 times 6 over here, that's 42. So we're going to put the 2 and carry the 4. 7 times 4, well, okay, and that's 28 right there. And then plus 4 more is 32. So we're going to put the 3 in the hundreds column and bring my 2 down. 7 times 3, like we said, is 21. Plus 3 more is 24. So you're going to carry your 2 over to the thousands and bring down your 4. 7 times 1, that's easy. 7 plus 2 more is 9. So our first partial product is 9,422. I'm going to cross off my 7 ones. I'm done. I'm going to cross off the numbers up on top. I'm going to now go to the 9 into 97. That means my answer starts here underneath the second 2, and I need to add a 0 placeholder. And now I'm going to multiply by my 9s. I'm going to do 9 times 6. 9 times 6 is going to be 54. So that's going to be a 4, and you're going to put a 5 up on top carefully. 9 times 4, that's going to be right here. That's 36. Plus 5 more. So if you add 5 to 36, you're going to get 41. 9 times 3 right here is 27. Plus 4 more. That's going to be 31. So bring down bring your 3 over, bring your 1 over. And now you're going to do 9 times 1. That's 9. Plus 3 more is going to be 12. So you're going to put 2 and a 1. And so now you're done multiplying by the tens. Cross those off and cross these numbers off on top. And we are going to do the twos, and that needs to be in the hundreds column. That means we need 2 0 placeholders. And now we can go 2 times 6, that's 12. So you're going to bring down your 2, and you're going to have to squeeze your 1 somewhere, keep it all nice and neat so that you don't make a mistake somewhere and count the wrong numbers. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. 2 times 3 is 6. And then 2 times 1 is 2. And now you have 3 partial products. We're going to add them together. So we got 2 plus 0 is 2. And then you got 2 plus 4 plus 0, that's 6. And then you got 4 plus 1, that's 5, plus 2 more, that's 7. Then you have 9 plus 1, that's easy, that's 10, plus another 9, that's 19. I'm going to put my 9 down, and I'm going to regroup the 1 over to the 10,000s. Then you got the 2 plus the 6 plus the 1, that's going to give you 9. And then the 1 plus the 2, and that's going to give you a 3. So now you have 399,762. All right, so now we're going to do word problem. We only did 4 problems, and that was a lot because it requires a lot of steps to do when you multiply, and so sometimes those steps take a long time. So we're going to go over and do number 4. It says a school district purchased 615 new laptops for their mobile labs. It says each computer, so let's box in each computer, costs $409. They want to know what is the total cost for all of the laptops. So each computer costs $409 and they're buying 615. So that tells you that we're going to do a little multiplication. We're going to be doing 615 multiply it by 409. All right, and so we're going to try to squeeze it into this space right here. Do the best you can. Keep it nice and neat. We're going to go ahead and do 615, and we're going to multiply it by 409. The cool thing is, if you look at the bottom 409, there's a 0 in the 10, so that means it has no value. That means we're going to only have 2 partial products when we have to multiply before we find the final answer. So sometimes those zeros are actually pretty good because that means we do less work. So now we're going to do the 9 times the 5. That's going to be 45. All right, now we're going to do the 9 times the 1, that's 9, and then you're going to add 4 more, that's going to be 13. And the 9 times the 6. Back on the previous page, you can use your multiples of 9. That will tell you that 9 times 6 is 54, plus 1 more is 55. And so now I'm done multiplying by the 9 ones. I'm crossing that off. I'm crossing the number 4 and the 1 off. I'm skipping the tens. I'm going to the 400s. That number needs to start underneath this 5 right there. And I need to put 2 0 placeholders. And now I'm going to multiply 4 times 5. That's 20. I'm going to try to squeeze my 2 up there and bring my 0 underneath the 5 in the hundreds place value. Then you have 4 times 1, that's 4, but don't forget to add that 2, that's 6. And then 4 times 6 is 24, so we're going to put the 4 and the 2 in front. And now I can go ahead and add my 2 partial products. I've got 5, 3, 5. 5 plus 6 is 11, so I'm going to bring down my 1 and carry my 1 because I have some room up on top over the 4. 1 plus 4 is 5, and then there's nothing to add with it too. So we have $251,535. So our sentence would be the total cost for all the laptops is $251,535, period. All right. And that is our sentence. Make sure you have your $sign. Make sure it's a complete sentence with an ending punctuation mark. And we are done multiplying on this lesson. And I'll see you on the next one when we do some more multiplication. So I'll see you there.